Ew, what are those?
Is that supposed to be some kind of dog?
Lou is so not gonna like this.
Definitely not. He'll be like, I do not like this. Ew, ew, ew.
Oh my gosh, Kitty. That's such a good Lou impression.
I know, right?
I know too, right?
It's time to stop! It's time to stop, okay?
I can't escape these types of movies. They are just so utterly disappointing that I'd rather be farming the fiery crops for Satan in hell rather than wasting 87 minutes on a substance-lacking, abysmal piece of trash. Ugly Dolls doesn't deserve to be recycled, it deserves to fall into a never-ending coma and to be buried inside the 5-foot dense McDonald's play tunnels. If a movie embodied a letdown, it would be this on so many levels. I heard a lot of people say it was garbage, but I never understood them when they said they should have the director's head cut off Jason style. It's going to be a literal chore just to break this down, because it probably took shorter to come up with than the amount of time I last in the bedroom. Let's not dive right into this plot breakdown, but rather take this slowly, as this is going to hurt for me to explain and for you guys to hear. Let's get into the breakdown. Oh, and by the way, like major spoilers, you could kind of already tell. And this is like my 6th take, so yeah, if you're here, tag this point in time and say, you did it. So let's get into the breakdown. I can't even call this a plot because the movie is basically an advertisement trying to squeeze in a lesson. Roxy is this pink ugly doll that lives in the world of Uglyville with all of her ugly-ass friends. A red guy with wings named Lucky gets misunderstood like a mother clucker and convinces Roxy to go on this journey to find the big world with all of her stupid friends. The big world is basically our economy, I would say our stores, our world. The dolls land their asses in this Institute of Perfection instead, where all of these bougie human dolls are produced. But there's one doll that basically runs the place, he's their leader, lives in a mansion, and yes, he is only a kid. His name is Lou, and he looks like a blonde Michael Bublé looking wannabe that couldn't look like he's any more full of himself. The dolls get shipped off to this musty shack in exchange for actually, trying in training, but Lou is restlessly abusing them, and the training is more washing machine than training, at least for the audience. They leave after ridiculously dressing like the other top 1%, and Lou pulls the mayor ox out of his ass to explain to the ugly dolls that they're ugly, and that their kinda isn't appealing to the human eye. Lou and these spy girl looking things, one of them's named Tuesday, like what kind of name is Tuesday? Thanks Mom, knew that Roxy would keep trying to find the human, and by the way, Roxy had this little human companion. I don't think I picked up on her name, so I'm just going to call her Whale. So they decide to throw Roxy and Whale into a frickin' incinerator, which gives me huge Toy Story 3 vibes, but hey, we're not reviewing a good movie here, so I'll leave Pixar out of this. After the cliche move of getting saved by a pubic hair by a BS chain of dolls, they go back to run the gauntlet, which basically determines if you are capable of being perfect, if you're durable enough, if you're pretty enough, yada yada, all that. Roxy passes by befriending the threat, the galvanized big-ass baby, but it gave all the dolls credit for winning, which was absolute bulljohn because if you watch this scene, you'll realize that they didn't really do much besides just miraculously make it through, and half of the gang actually ended up riding the dog that this Pitbull character ended up saving. So really, Roxy and the Pitbull guy should have ended up getting through. I say Pitbull because he was played by Pitbull and I don't know his name, but yeah, they really should have been the ones that made it through, but all of them got credit, I guess. I guess that's fine. They rebuilt the portal with, I swear, like 5 other shards laying on the ground, like while the portal was forming. And there's a happy-go-lucky ending. They all get owners, is what we should assume. And they go back to the little cliche song. Disappointing. So let's get into my personal thoughts. This movie had more names than I can probably remember from my friends that you all may have heard of. How do you have Blake Shelton, Kelly Clarkson, Lizzo, Bebe Rexha, Nick Jonas, and Pitbull in one movie, just to name a few, and fail to make the movie the slightest bit acceptable? This is an abysmal film, but a good commercial. This belongs in the commercial breaks on Dr. Oz, while all of the people watching are either making more cult cuts or scrolling through memes. This was heavily advertised and didn't deserve to be. This is like Arctic Dogs, but barely better, and I mean closer than my face was to my phone during this movie. There were only 2 lines in this movie that made me chuckle, but there was too much slapstick humor for them to be justified. I felt a little lost with this movie because it was going in a lot of different directions that all sucked. The color palette was also eye-offending, and the animation was the most DreamWorks-looking animation since Home. The amount of songs that made me want to cry almost went through my roof, and not in a good way. And the lyrics did not complement the songs in the slightest. Imagine turning in a test, right? And the test you took was making a good soundtrack, and you turn in the UglyDolls soundtrack, but it's just the songs and instrumentals. You only have instrumentals. You turn it in and you get it back, and you get a C+. And you're like, I want to return this in. You can return it in. So you turn it back in with all the same songs, but they have lyrics. And once you get it back, you get a D-. That's my analogy on how this dumpster fire of a soundtrack functioned. To sum it all up, this movie deserves to choke on a lifesaver and die slowly and painfully, getting sent straight to purgatory. So let's get into the reviews in the box office. I laughed reading the reviews of this movie more than I laughed at the actual movie, and no, DreamWorks, that is not good. This movie got a 27% on Rotten Tomatoes, which isn't the worst, but it still sucks. Here are some hilarious reviews that brought a tear to my eye for the terrible, horrible, no good, very bad movie. UglyDolls is less a movie than an infomercial for the plush Hasbro toys. Obviously, a children's film has to be on the nose, but the film's unwillingness to explore its own message in depth is disappointing. Even undemanding kids in need of distraction might find it hard not to get restless during this word-heavy woke animation. For a movie about supposed ugliness, UglyDolls works overtime to be pretty. For a film about weird, colorful dolls, one hopes for something wackier, funnier, and edgier. But UglyDolls is so soft, literally the felted textures are startlingly realistic and tame, that it feels like you're watching those PBS cartoons aimed at toddlers. Positive messaging about celebrating our unique imperfections and seeking your own truth has never been more urgent in the time and age of Instagram. Pity, then, that this toothless and derivative marketing exercise does not practice what it preaches. Word-heavy, woke animation. This messaging comes with sledgehammer subtlety, and the visuals offer a world of candy-colored dullness, and despite a stellar voice cast, a veteran animator, and a very good director, they just can't bring the affair to life. I love the people that write these reviews so much that I'm just going to write a short review myself. A terrible, unbearable, contrived advertisement of complete sadness and ugliness, which I guess was the point, so at least they did something right. Let's conclude this video. If one word described this movie, it would be lousy. The animation, effects, songs, lyrics, characters, plot, the hook for me to like the characters, all of it was just straight up lousy. I am never going to watch this movie again, and for good reason. I don't want my eyes in a wheelchair. This movie is a rape of the senses, and I'd rather be more glad to throw this film in a bushfire rather than watch it to save my life. DreamWorks is so inconsistent, it hurts. This company made Shrek, How to Train Your Dragon, and Kung Fu Panda, but they also conceived Shrek, Home, Shark Tale, Monsters vs. Aliens, and now this Ugly Doll commercial. If they could just lock onto the formula of making good movies like the ones I specified, these guys would be a very challenging contender in the film industry. Not saying they already aren't, but they could be held up so much higher if they just bothered to try. Don't watch this movie. Don't rape your senses. Just watch Spider-Verse and Rango. We'll be reviewing a better movie next week that I have close attachment to say the least. Let's just say I won't be as angry. Stay tuned.